This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Rin. Hi.
And we're not actually here to talk about Ristocook, but if you want to go check them out.
Are you going to fix my hat this time, Chris?
Yes. All right. While we're sitting here, while we're thinking about it, I'll fix your hat. Just for you, Will.
Thank you.
I almost accidentally removed the crop on there, and that would have been more interesting because then your body would have gotten, like, your screen would have gotten huge. That would have been interesting. So good thing I did it right. I removed the Chrome key instead. All right. So we're not here to talk about that. Rin, why don't you tell everybody about your channel?
Oh, I do an amalgamation of design-related things, art-related things, Fire Emblem, and just in general gaming stuff. And that's me. I'm also very, like, awkward, so you'll hear me say the word a lot. And see, I said it there. And there. That's my channel, though. It's just me being awkward, and I'm very, like, nervous, so I do nervous, like, quirks, and that's me in a nutshell.
I'm just gonna, like, record a video just talking about your channel and saying really nice things about it so that you can have a much better commercial than that. Than you saying a bajillion times and complaining about it.
No, that's exactly what I would, because I think that's, like, what people like, I guess, is the, like, cute but shy girl kind of aesthetic I have.
That's not an aesthetic. That's you, though, right?
I mean, yeah, kind of. If you get to know me, it's not me. I'm very, like, not that. But when you're a stranger, or when I'm, like, recording myself, I'm very much that, yeah.
Well, if you guys ever want to go find her channel, I was going to go find her. That I need to end that sentence with channel instead of just her, because that'd be a little strange. You can go to youtube.com/RYN Rin. If you accidentally leave one of the Rins off, I'll show you what happens.
It just goes to some chick's channel, I think, who has a lot more subs than I do.
Wait,
oh, no, never mind.
What did I do wrong? No, I didn't do anything wrong. Oh, you know what? I think I did. If you add an A in there and don't put Rin, you wind up with this guy with 150 subscribers. I don't know. And he's verified.
Oh, he's what?
What?
No, maybe he just has that symbol there.
No. He's verified.
Well, go to his video list, see what kind of videos he's got.
How is that possible?
How much did he pay?
He's got one video and he's
How many views does that one video have?
2,000?
Time to subscribe to him.
And his description is, I am Z-God. Like, what is this? I'm intrigued now. This is not what we're here to talk about, though, I promise.
Alright, so it's time to contact him and have him on the next CHRILLCAST?
Yes, Ryan, contact us. We want Z-God on the channel. Alright, so today is... Will, do I have to do it?
Yes.
It's Throwback Thursday. Okay, now that we got that part out. We're talking about Satellaview / broadcast satellite Fire Emblem. The Satellaview was a satellite modem peripheral produced... I should pull this up so people can see how ridiculous this looks. Hold on.
I did not know about this at the time. This would have blown my mind.
It's like OG DLC.
Yeah.
All right, here you go. So this is a good picture of it. This is the we'll just go to the Wikipedia page. I mean, I'm practically reading off it as it is. Might as well. So the Satellaview is a satellite modem peripheral produced by Nintendo for the Super Famicom, not the Super Nintendo. We didn't get it over here. Satellaview lasted from April 24th, 1995 to June 30th, 2000. So the question is... No, I'm not going to go there. I was going to say, the question is, was Rin alive when this thing died?
No.
Containing 1 megabit of ROM, read-only memory space, and an additional 512 KB of RAM. This thing was packing a lot of memory. Satellaview allowed players to download games, magazines, and other forms of content through satellite broadcasts provided by Japanese company... I'm assuming it's Saint Giga, but I could be completely off on that. It is a Japanese company. They have interesting pronunciations.
What's crazy about this, just to sidetrack for a second, this is during the era when you had dial-up. So when you're going into the internet, you actually like the phone's sound. It's like... Yeah. And it took like 20 minutes to get into your AOL account, back when everyone had AOL. Yeah, and it had like the little running man. Anyway, it's just crazy that this was a thing.
So to use this service, the Satellaview, players had to purchase a special broadcast satellite tuner directly from St. Giga or Geiga or whatever it is, or rent one for a 6-month fee and pay monthly maintenance fees to both St. Giga and Nintendo. So Nintendo was doing DLC before everybody else. It was attached to the bottom of the Super Famicom, as seen in the picture right there that you can see right on that screen, or in our thumbnail, with the picture of Rin in front of it. Among the many games to receive content was Fire Emblem, which is amazing to me because it was popular, but it wasn't like a forefront franchise. Forefront franchise. That is a really strange thing to say, but I made it up. Forefront franchises, top franchises. All right, guys, my thing now. FFF.
Okay, trademark.
Among the many games to receive it was Fire Emblem, I believe 3. I didn't write that in here for some reason, but I believe it was 3. There's 4 scenarios, and they were the Arcania War Chronicles, so that definitely had to be 3. Of all the Satellaview titles released, this is the only content that has ever had a re-release of any kind, as part of the Japanese-only Fire Emblem release on the Nintendo DS, called Fire Emblem New Mystery of the Emblem. And most of us didn't play that because it was a Japan-only release. I did play it, but a lot of people that are watching this program have probably didn't even know this was a thing. So, because most of them are probably Halo fans.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably like, what is Fire Emblem?
Yeah, what is this?
What is this weird game?
So
Can you play as Master Chief? Yes, you can.
Is it a first-person shooter? No.
Dude, Fire Emblem mixed with Halo would be amazing. They need to make that game like grid style, like Advance Wars with Fire Emblem, or better, Advance Wars with Halo theme. That would be awesome. Anyways, so what do you guys think of the Satellaview versus modern DLC? What is your guys' opinion on that?
Well, obviously it's subpar. Didn't have nearly enough games to make it viable. I'm sure this took forever. Obviously I never used this, but I imagine this took forever to download, even more, probably longer than it takes to download stuff now, right? And so it's subpar, but however, this is cutting edge technology for the time. This is really forward thinking, like unbelievably forward thinking. It's crazy. It's just, when I first learned about this, it's like I cannot believe that this was the thing. And the thing is that although it was like far too early for this, obviously this was a good idea because not every company does it in some way.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that I didn't know this existed until when I read the outline that you guys sent me. So I was just like, oh, that's a thing, I guess. And I don't know. I guess I should have done more research into it. But it seems kind of like I was also very surprised by how because they were still having brick phones at this point in time, So it was like
phone in the bag.
Yeah, right. It's almost amazing that they were able to even conceive of something like this.
Yeah, just imagine thinking this up, because it makes sense to download things off the internet now because we do it all the time. But just think that I want to beam something from a satellite into your little Famicom. It's crazy.
That being said, I'm willing to bet this thing probably didn't work 90% of the time.
It worked well enough that these are preserved on the internet to download.
See, that's impressive, but I wouldn't considering that the original copy had to be on a computer somewhere. It's not also that hard to conceive of.
Nintendo's probably got that on lock and key. You ain't getting that.
Yeah, they're like, no. And I'm willing to bet getting one of these things is probably worth a decent amount of money now.
I actually don't know, because you can't do anything with it. The biggest issue here is, so it can only store one download at a time, right? So the only way we get all 4 of the scenarios from Fire Emblem is 4 separate cartridges were preserved with the data on it to be uploaded to the internet. You can only get one of these cartridges in the console at a time, right? So to get 4 scenarios, you'd have to have, I don't know this for sure, but judging by what I've read, you'd have had to have 4 separate cartridges, download each one separately, and the second you would download another thing, it rewrites the whole cartridge. These cartridges were not meant to be long-term storage by any means. And then these scenarios were fully fleshed out scenarios in the same world as Fire Emblem 3, which it's literally DLC. Like the origins of DLC came from this type of thing, which it amazes me. I'm super impressed by the fact that they came up with this, like Will said, in the 90s.
Didn't was it Atari or Sega had
Sega
something
Channel.
like this? Yeah, the Sega Channel.
And that ran through, I believe, the cable lines. So it was a little more reliable than Satellaview.
I just remember when Xbox Live came out thinking that was the first of its kind, and I mean, obviously it was much better than this, but just going back and realizing that other companies had a similar idea so many years before is just still crazy to me.
So the thing that I find most interesting is there was a dedicated enough following that most of the Satellaview games were preserved in some way, shape, or form, which is really cool. But content like this, the preservation of it, will be more and more difficult as we get so much more DLC in the future. So, like, for example, the 3DS, if the eShop for the 3DS shuts down, the content on the 3DS eShop is no longer available to the average consumer, which means people that didn't get the Fates DLC or the Echoes DLC or the Awakening DLC, now they can't. And preservation of it, I think, is only going to get harder going forward. The Satellaview had such a limited scope of games and downloads, it's easier to get the full library of Satellaview content. I think that it's going to be a dangerous game going forward with what you're going to get with these games that have DLC and lots of it.
Yeah, especially now that the CD is essentially worthless because you need a 100, 200 gigabyte patch, and then all the DLC that comes out afterwards. So that just having the CD itself isn't even enough anymore without that download.
Not that the Fire Emblem Fates DLC was really worth buying, but
we don't talk about that.
How much of the Awakening stuff did you get?
Me? I bought all of it.
Did you really?
I bought every single DLC that's come out for most modern Fire Emblem.
Even
like
Fates?
Echoes, oh my god. Well, yeah, I bought Fates.
The DLC?
It's like part of it's like the completionist in me. I'm a video game collector, so I just like having that stuff on hand. Like I didn't need I had prior to buying the special edition, I had all 3 Fire Emblem Fates. I had what is it called? Conquest, Birthright, and Revelations downloaded onto my 3DS, but I still bought the DLC. I still bought the package because fuck, I'm collecting it. I mean, there's no reason not to buy it because it is something that will increase in value over time.
What's the only complete version of Fates? It's the only 3-route complete version of Fates, which is that's the only way I was willing to buy it.
And that's another reason why it's so highly even just getting a loose copy of it is one, insanely hard to do and pretty expensive to do. The only DLC I would probably regret buying is the 3 Houses DLC. That's not Cinder Shadows because it's a couple of new outfits and the sauna's not even fun.
I have to say I was kind of surprised that the DLC was almost nothing other than Cindered Shadows, aesthetic wise. I did get it because it felt like a better value than some of the previous DLC that Fire Emblem had put out. Because it was only $25, even though you didn't get $25 worth of value out of it.
I think Cindered Shadows is probably worth about $25.
I would say, yeah, at least because it adds actual levels to the game.
And it adds 4 new characters.
Yeah.
But other than that, a maid outfit that doesn't even look that good is not on high priority of DLC on my mind, but whatever, I guess.
We could go off on 3 Houses for a while now. I'm a little angry after watching Mang's video about the lackings in 3 Houses. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not talk about it.
No, we're just gonna stay off that. So I guess preservation of this type of thing, right? They're gonna need a lot of hacktivists, is what I'm gonna call them. People that are willing to hack the game and be active on uploading this type of content for preservation purposes. Not for piracy purposes, but preservation. I advocate for preservation. I do not advocate for privacy. No, I do advocate for that too. I don't advocate for piracy. Piracy.
Oh my gosh.
I can't talk today. So I guess the next question is, have you actually watched gameplay of these scenarios?
I haven't. Not that I know of, at least.
Yeah,
They do exist. And I think you can just literally type in BS Fire Emblem on YouTube and stuff comes up. Hopefully it doesn't end up being a troll post by Mecha and Mangs. If I could type, that would be helpful. I can't type today. That is a fact. A sad fact. I should have had this up to begin with.
Hey, it's me.
Hey, look, it's you. That's amazing, YouTube.
Oh, it's YMS. I like YMS too, by the way.
YMS. Wait. Did I miss that already? There we go. So this is a good video. Like, there's the logo, Saint Giga. There you go. Let's see. So you can see right here, BS Fire Emblem. I love it's just everything else is Japanese. BS. Yep. It literally. These scenarios are like fully fleshed out. Like they've got little artwork in them. This is the loading. Oh, so this is a good example of the loading there, Will. You wanted to see? So let's see, loading. And it's got like little things passing through here. Artwork even. Cool. So they give you a little synopsis of the scenario. See how far we get into it before we get. So it took 13 minutes to get to a playthrough. And this looks like it was recorded on an old CRT. But yeah, so it's yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I'm still amazed by the technology. I mean, I'm sure it was probably great for those people at the time who played it now. I'm sure I would tear our hair out, but yeah.
Speaking as somebody who tried to play these, but there was no translation patch at the time when I tried to play these, it is playable, and it can play in any standard emulator. I don't remember if I had to do anything special to make it work, but it's a fully fleshed out scenario with good balancing, and essentially they took a bunch of characters and changed their levels up to make the scenario more interesting. Because obviously, at the point when you would be playing these scenarios, the characters would not be level 1.
Yeah.
You would kind of get stuck if you had to play as level 1 characters in a scenario like this. So they had to put a bunch of forethought into this before they released something like this. The final thought process on here: the Satellaview is probably one of the most interesting peripherals to be released on a Nintendo console. But I just wanted to talk about some other peripherals we find interesting, like the Game Boy player. What's some peripherals that stick out to you guys?
This is just like what Nintendo does, though. It's always coming out with something crazy that you don't really think about, and then you play it and you're like, this is neat. So like the Game Boy player, I would never have thought about that, but I love playing Game Boy games on the TV, and it's the coolest concept ever. And then just the Wii in itself is like one massive peripheral.
Yeah.
The Wii U, speaking of which.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wii U. The thing is, they're always ahead of the game. Nintendo always is very forward-thinking. So like DLC, they're very forward-thinking like that. But just like the portable home console, they really, if you think about it, they kind of started with GameCube with the little handle. And then the Wii U, almost like that. And then, obviously the Switch is going bonkers right now. But they're always very forward-thinking with their peripherals.
I think a lot of that holds true, but I also think they make really dumb mistakes with a lot of their consoles.
Yes.
For instance, the Wii U, the Wii, and the GameCube should not have featured disc. They should have featured cartridges like most other Nintendo consoles, because loading times on a cartridge tends to be a lot faster. And also the fact that the disc of a GameCube is so small compared to other ones is like, okay, if I scratch it and I run it through a machine to get rid of the scratches, I can only do that once before it just breaks. And also, I don't know if you know about this, but the way the GameCube was such a great console, but it had so many flaws in it that that Nintendo I just don't think thought of. It's like, and especially with just the disc alone, if you look at a GameCube disc, like a current one, the little part where it's clear in the middle, if you press into it, it can have this like liquid stuff. And that's like a disc is typically 2 discs combined, like glued together.
Yep.
And that's that glue coming apart, and it doesn't affect the disc or how well it plays, but that's something that Nintendo didn't think of, or they didn't do research on, even though every other console at the time was doing
No, keep talking. I'm just grabbing
was doing no, I get it. Was doing disc based stuff, so it's kind of like Nintendo is very forward thinking, but almost to a degree that a lot of times it gets them in trouble because they'll spend so much money on a particular thing and it just will flop. For instance,
Yep.
the Wii U. Like, it was called the Wii U. It shouldn't have been called the Wii U. It should have been called
No.
something entirely different because that's what made it flop. They thought it was just a gamepad for the addition of a
Yes.
Wii. And when honestly, when it first came out, that's what I thought until, you know, I actually like
Yeah,
did a little bit of
exactly.
research.
Until I bought mine a couple years ago, I thought it was just a
An
extra
attachment.
controller.
So it's like, what's like
In the middle here?
Yes. It's not on every game. Typically games that are better, that are well preserved. All right, you don't need to like. You
I'm
see
just-
that like
I was just trying to see if we
get
could see
You-
it.
you
I was trying to
get
see
it.
if
You
we
got
could
the
see it.
$100 game. It's okay.
Yeah, we got it, Chris.
I got it when it was whatever the original price was.
But the little middle piece will often have like a glue type material, and it's on games that aren't well preserved oftentimes, or games that are a little more beat up, and it's just the glue in it becoming like falling apart or like loosening, I guess. I don't
Does
know.
it
is the
cause like
good-
ridges in games too, or no?
No, I mean, as far as I can tell, or as far as I've learned, it hasn't really affected the game at all. But it's something that Nintendo didn't think of, you know? And it's like, you're forward thinking in a lot of aspects, but you also like take steps back. Why does the N64 controller look like that? Why?
Yeah.
It does. It looks like a spaceship. I guess I'm okay with it, but why does it look like that? Like, huh? Again, the Wii U
Yeah.
gamepad shouldn't have been called.
Oh, hold on.
Lost a lot of money because of that.
Yes, they did.
I can tell you the reason why I've heard the N64 controller look like that. It was to bridge the gap between the joystick and the D-pad, where there were some players that specifically preferred the D-pad and some players that were willing to try the analog stick. And so to bridge that, they made the analog stick and the D-pad essentially do the exact same thing on every game, and you could choose how you wanted to hold the controller. That was the
Which
thought
is,
process.
I get, like, it makes sense, and like, I mean, I'm coming from a like a, I can't remember the phrase, but it, like hindsight, you know, it's like we have games that are like, or controllers that are very like, they fit nicely. I honestly, my favorite controller I've ever used is probably a Pro Switch controller. It fits so nicely into my hand, you know, like Joy-Cons and Joy-Con drift, and the fact that they still haven't fixed that. Like, Nintendo, please, what's going on? Why'd you make a Joy-Con like that? I don't understand. Whatever. Forward thinking with the Switch, but taking those little tiny corners that have ended up costing you money to fix and replace Joy-Cons.
Or how about not being like Bluetooth compatible with every single device on the Wii U? Like they could have easily probably implemented. But yeah. And then, you know, using the GameCube adapter for the GameCube controller only for Smash, like, come on, Nintendo. That was a great controller. I would love to use the GameCube controller for every other game on the Wii U, because I'm very, very attached to my GameCube controller.
Yeah, it's like they do stuff like that irks me. Again, they're forward thinking to a certain degree, and then to a certain degree they just either make a lot of cuts, like they cut corners, or they just do dumb mistakes.
What would you say is the most sold Nintendo peripheral at the store that you've worked at?
Peripheral?
Other than controllers. Or like a special type of controller, right? Not just standard controllers.
It's hard to get like specific, like specially made ones are hard to come by. Like I can't even say the Game Boy player is one that's like a very like common one to sell because it's just hard to get in a shop like ours. I will say that if the Game Boy player does appear in our shop, it sells out almost immediately. Oh, what is it? The Game Boy Micro? That thing? Are you kidding me? That thing sells so fast. It's
I've
like
never
I don't know.
understood that.
It's and this is my earlier. You said that the Satellaview probably wouldn't be that expensive. Like it wouldn't harbor that much value. I would disagree because the Game Boy Micro is more expensive than a Game Boy SP, and is basically a useless version of a Game Boy.
I
Like,
agree
why does it
with you.
exist? Like it looks cool. I have one. Oh, they have like their Game and Watch stuff too. That sells really quick. At our store right now we have a Zelda one that I'm going to get as soon as they fix it. But yeah, stuff like that.
How about the GameCube component cable?
The component. Oh yeah, people. I mean, you'd be surprised by the amount of people who have a GameCube. So yeah, that sells out really quickly.
The specifically the component cable.
I mean, yeah, like. I mean, describe it if I'm not like thinking of the right thing.
So like, there's the standard AV cord that's just standard 240p slash 240 whatever the standard. I think it is 240p. And then there's a second port on the back of the GameCube, the component cable. That Nintendo maybe made 10,000 of those, and that'll allow you to output to essentially just under HD on the GameCube.
Well, but that's something that like. In terms of component, I think that's something that's easily made, like remade.
No. That could be a whole nother subject. Maybe I'll bring that up after we get done with this one. Then the component cable is something that
I haven't looked at it, to be honest with you.
I highly sought after for years and could never find one at any of
Chris
the
was bringing this up because he bought a very expensive cable.
Yeah, it's.
You're mad about it?
I don't recommend people go buy it because there's things like the GCHD or the Eon HD, which is essentially an HDMI output for the GameCube. But since I spent money and bought an actual Nintendo brand component cable, I refuse to use anything that's not officially Nintendo brand at this point.
I get that. It's kind of sketchy using anything that's not the main brand. Like I hate third-party controllers. I hate using third-party controllers.
Mad Cats, cough cough, rest in peace. But no, the component cable, I went on a search to find something that was equivalent to it for less money for a long time, and they had some of these HDMI peripherals that you could buy online, and they were a little sketchy, but I was like, okay, I'll try it, and it worked for like a day, and then all of a sudden it fried the motherboard of my GameCube, and I had to swap out the GameCube I had since I was a wee lad, as Fletch would have put it, and I was very sad to part ways with my original GameCube, but they're cheap to replace. At least they're like $20-$30 or something, depending on where you go.
Yeah, GameCubes are insanely cheap. It's almost like amazing.
It should be a crime. They're so much better than what they're worth.
I mean, no, I don't think it should be a crime. Are you kidding me? I want people to play the GameCube.
No, I think the legacy of the GameCube and the amount of money it's worth nowadays is just kind of, I don't know if sad's the right word, but it makes me feel like it's less important than it actually should be.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. I definitely get that.
But anyways, so that's all I had to say was Satellaview, 1995 to 2000. One of the least covered Nintendo peripherals probably on YouTube, to be totally honest. And now you can say that Rin, Will, and the CHRILLCAST and me got to cover it. So, as always, I'm Chris.
Yeah, I'm Will.
I'm Rin.
And we will see you
on next CHRILLCAST.